Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Kathy Meyer, the Director of Marketing for the TCNA, which stands for the Tile Council of North America. Kathy, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. So you've had this role for about a year and a half, and you spearheaded a program, the Wild Tile program. That's what I want to talk about, but I'd like to give a little background first. Before TCNA, it looks like you focused much of your time in the optical and imaging business. You got an undergraduate degree in optical engineering from the University of Rochester and then went on to get your MBA and spent a lot of years with Kodak and Heidelberg. And you were telling me before this interview that some of the things that you worked on have been written in some of the, like, Clancy spy books, right?
That is absolutely correct.
How did you end up with the TCNA?
It's marketing, and I've always enjoyed marketing, and even though I had a lot of engineering roles, I always liked to focus on the customer, the bigger picture. So when I was looking, we had family down here, and my son was at Clemson. This was just a perfect all around, because I just love being here, and I love this industry. It's a lot of fun.
Some people may not know, but the Tile Council of North America has a really nice headquarters 10 miles from Clemson University. It's a really nice facility with laboratories, and you're actually adding on to it, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We're actually going to be probably almost tripling the size of our facility, which means we're going to be increasing the type of testing we do. It's basically for increasing our lab, but also increasing our number of employees here as we grow what we do.
I've always liked the business model for the TCNA because there are some trade associations in flooring that get most of their revenue from the supply base. You know, they get just membership dues, and you guys have your own lab, and you represent not just the manufacturers, but the contractors and the retailers and everybody that touches tile in one fashion or another. Let's focus on this project, this Y-Tile. Basically, it's Y-Tile, but you have a website called ytile.com, and you call it, it's the industry's marketing and education initiative. Tell our listeners a little bit about it, if you would.
Sure. A lot of our manufacturers, they do a really, really good job of describing to their channel partners, so the retailers, the distributors, you know, what their product line is all about and the different models and SKUs and stuff that they have. But no one ever was taking the step back to talk about the benefits of tile and why tile should be used for all surfaces, because as you know, tile isn't just about bathroom and kitchen flooring anymore. It can be on ceilings, it can be on walls with all the new technology, with the graphic printing. All the designs have expanded tremendously on what you can do. So it was taking a step back to talk about collectively why tile is good for you, meaning you, the customer, good for your environment, good for your customers if you're in a commercial kind of business. So we wanted to step back and, provide a place that talked more educationally about what tile was about and its benefits, but also to inspire as to how you can use tile. Yeah. And so we wanted to bring that inspiration and that part of the education to bear as well. So our website is all about this education, inspiration, and how you can use tile. It is not a path to purchase. There is no one there going to be, if you go on the website, no one's going to be following up, trying to get you to buy something. We're being manufacturer neutral. We're being country neutral. It's just anything having to do with tile and tile-related industries. So like as you mentioned before, the installers, there's a whole piece on the craftsmanship and the labor. We talk about tile tools and mortars and grouts and backerboards and all that kind of things that talk about the entire tile system. So those are the places where we'll be actually, growing some of our content as we go now.
Okay, so primarily this is a consumer message, right? I mean, there is an A&D aspect to it, but your primary target is, hey, let's be sure and remind the consumer why tile makes a great surface, whether it be on the floor walls or wherever in the building.
Right. That's how we launched it last year at Coverings. Yeah. And so this year at Coverings, we decided, we worked all this last year to be building out the commercial side. So it's for the specifiers, the architect design audience on, how you can get lead points or credits for other green building programs. We've got a whole section in there and some references and sources there as well, but mostly to help also educate. We have, every year we're graduating new architects and new designers, and so making sure they also understand why they should be specifying tile and what are some of the cool applications you can be using tile for. Because as you mentioned before, I worked at Kodak, and it's hard to believe that kids graduating from college today don't even know what Kodak is or what the Kodak moment was. And so, not to say that they're not knowing what tile is, but it's something that's always been here. It's been here for a long, long time, tile. So we just want to make sure that new generation of architects and designers understand the inherent benefits of specifying tile. So that's why we came out with the A&D, or the commercial side of white tile.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview. You and I were together last week at the covering show. There's 800 exhibitors there, and they all compete with one another, and they're each in individual booths talking about their products and how their products are different than the guy next door, that kind of thing, and trying to show how progressive they are from an aesthetic and a performance standpoint, those kind of things. But you're stepping back just a little bit further, and this needs to be done because people, consumers or specifiers in the commercial market, they're picking one surface over another. And they need to know
Correct.
the difference because, one of the things, there's a section in your site that talks about fireproof. It talks about no VOC. It talks about, all these different benefits that compare this surface to, say, wood or vinyl or carpet. So, I just think it's important for the industry to understand that, yes, these different categories compete with each other, and it's nice to have a site like this where people can go and say, okay, this is what you get when you buy tile, right?
Correct. And so that's why we're doing the education, which, as you mentioned, is before you select exactly what product you're choosing. So we're just at the high level of tile and what ceramic tile brings.
Now, who funds this?
It's joint effort, our members, and we're also getting assistance from other trade associations that are also in the tile industry.
I'm glad you don't go through the alphabet soup. You almost have to have a decoder ring to get through.
Yes, you do.
But I'll tell you, because I know some of the details on this. I mean, it's not just the Tile Council of North America, the trade association.
Correct.
It's also the Contractors Association. It's the Education Foundation. I mean, it's funded by all the different organizations that are going to benefit from the sale of more tile. And it also is, like you said earlier, it's not just the USA. I mean, Why Tile is a website, whytile.com, and there's some funding coming from overseas people too, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let me just, real quick before we run out of time, there was a fun video that was produced at Coverings by the show that had a little bit of an entertainment piece. There were some people trying to buy some products, and it was in a designer-type conference room. And the players, there was water and fire and mold. They each had a role. It was humorous, and that's part of the same message, right?
Yes, it is. And we were at the Ceramic Tile and Stone Show, and so Tiles of Italy, Tiles of Spain, Tiles of North America through TCNA, we all agreed that as part of Coverings and our covering messaging, that this was the show where we did more Why Tile programming. We had 6 Why Tile sessions that were called Quick Fires. They were 30-minute sessions that repeated each of the 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so people had a chance to get to see them. And then we also then had this video, and it was to stress 3 of the strengths of ceramic tile over other flooring, namely the plastic flooring. Gotcha. So that was supported by Coverings, which meant it was supported by all of the show owners. And
very appropriate, since probably a little bit of market share was taken last year by this whole LVT phenomenon, so it's probably a good message to have told.
Yes, the LVT is growing.
Okay, Kathy, great to talk to you again. Been talking to Kathy Meyer, the Director of Marketing with the Tile Council of North America, about the Why Tile campaign, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.